They went to war basically for the 4 rounds. 4 rounds that Moses was in. It was like a war. And yeah, he's a good guy to be around as well. We enjoyed his company.
I'm jealous of that. I would love to watch Joseph and Moses.
And there you guys have it. There is Andy Lee, the trainer of Joseph Parker, explaining the spar between Moses Itauma and Joseph Parker. And of course, this is another edition of Sparring. Absolutely. Andy said that they went to war. You know what he was actually saying? That he said it was a tough spar. That meant Moses had to either beat the shit out of Joseph Parker, gave him all he can handle, or made Joseph Parker fight or flight. And Joseph Parker's no bitch. So I think he had to fight. And I think he said a tough spar. That's a good way of saying, yeah, Joseph Parker didn't get the best of that spar. You know what I mean? Because if that was the case, he would have said so, but he didn't. He was like, no, it was a tough spar. You know what I mean? And it's just the integrity of being the trainer of Joseph Parker, not putting him out there and making him look bad, because what good would that be? Nobody does that. That's a decent trainer, right? Nobody talks about their talent, but he's keeping it real. Moses Itauma gave Joseph Parker hell. Okay? He gave him hell. And if you look at it, you're like, okay, Joseph Parker sparring Moses Itauma. Now the talks of Moses Itauma and Parker are coming up. And I think that's the last thing any of them want to do. Maybe it was from the sparring. Maybe it was because they've had experience with Moses. Moses is one of those guys that, he moves really, really fast for a heavyweight. And I think Moses moves about the speed or faster than Joseph Parker used to. You guys remember Joseph Parker used to be regarded as one of the fastest heavyweights that we had, And this is before Usyk came to the division. And, of course, Moses Itauma wasn't thought of back in 2018. He was like, 12 or something like that. So, yeah, because he's only 20 years old. But he was quick, and I think he needed every bit of that to match up against Moses Itauma. And this was in a spar. This ain't the only time that we've heard wars or horror stories about Moses Itauma giving people the blues, right? Lawrence Akali, same thing. Tyson Fury, same thing. We're hearing stories about Moses Itauma. The only difference is it ain't from Moses Itauma. It's from the people that Moses Itauma was in there with. You know what I mean? This ain't a Martin McCauley situation where he's bragging about who he beat up and did this to and did that to in sparring. No, these are the accounts of the people themselves. Trainers like Andy Lee that were there witnessing the attack, the spars. And I think Moses Itauma and Joseph Parker, they're looking for someone that's going to give him rounds, because as of now, we haven't seen any. Now, I think it's probably safe to say that Dillian White wasn't ready for nothing like that. He wasn't ready for that type of fight, because Moses I think he has a specialty in doing what he's always done. Find your errors, see your habits, exploit them, get your ass out of there. So that's not Dillian White. I think, he's going to have to keep on looking for that particular fighter that gives him rounds, so he'll know that he can go, because, I like the attitude of Moses, but it's always a temptation, always, to get to a point where, I'm knocking these guys out. All I got to do is land this, that, and the other, and I'm done. So I don't have to do this and that and the other. Get that Deontay Wilder mindset, and you don't want that, which I don't think he's going to get. But those sparring wars tells you a lot about a fighter, about a potential fight with him. And I don't think they would want to have anything to do with Moses Itauma, but rightfully so. Joseph Parker, is at a different stage of his career, and he's waiting for his shot. So take that shot. instead of dealing with a young lion like Moses Itauma. But you guys tell me what you think of Andy Lee revealing what went down in sparring between Moses Itauma and his fighter, Joseph Parker. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!